Welcome to COVID-19 Fertility Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Pantea Kalhor. Episode 20, Optimize Mental Health and Emotional Wellness with Linda Hayes Cooper, early parenting therapist and clinical psychologist. Please subscribe to Pantea Kalhor Transition channel and order my book Naturally Conceived through Amazon. Thank you for watching. Welcome to COVID-19 Fertility Empowerment Podcast. I'm your host, Pantea Kalhor. Fertility is not easy for many people. It's not a really easy journey. Some people have lots of ups and downs, and they do donor eggs, they do IVF and other fertility treatments to get pregnant. Here I have somebody called Linda Hayes Cooper. She's an amazing therapist. She's doing early parenting therapist. She's clinical psychologist, helping new and expected parents move from worries to warriors, so they can begin to live a family life of their dreams. She is the founder of Calm Emotional Presence that cultivates your designer footprint, fast tracking to mental health and well-being. Welcome to our show, Linda.
Thank you, Pantea.
Okay, tell me about your story. How did you end up to be a therapist, and what was your story about your fertility journey, and what did you do in there?
Well, my experience as a child, I think, has brought me through to my time now as a parent-infant therapist. It took me through into midwifery and child and family health, baby whispering, and then onto psychology. Once I realized from a very early age that, families are impacted by their own families. And just the experience of the childhood with the parent that has the parent bringing their own childhood into that experience, again, almost with the ghosts in the nursery, that excited me and I wanted to learn more. So I went on to bring in my psychology experience into my midwifery, and went on to become a clinical psychologist and parent-infant therapist. So I work with parents who have experienced loss previously through lots of different avenues, in particular infertility and difficulties in their pregnancy, or maybe mental health and emotional challenges in pregnancy and the postnatal period, and right up until 5 years of age, with everything that comes with parenting, the adversity, the challenges, all of that. So my experience through that time, however, being a clinical psychologist and a midwife, I was so desperate to have my own children. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. And I tried and I tried. I was with my first husband, where we started going through some fertility, and in many ways I think it was a way of me trying to fix the relationship. If we had a baby, it would fix the relationship, but I knew he didn't want one. So things went a little pear-shaped, and I had an early miscarriage through that experience. It was all very distressing for me, and knowing that he wasn't really available and wasn't very supportive, maybe that was, an answer to me not having a baby at that point, and that I needed to move on from that relationship. So I did. And I went into another long-term relationship with a man who had 2 children of his own already and didn't want to have any further children with me. So I thought, nothing much of it at the time, but as I was moving through my 30s, thinking, my clock is ticking, and I started to discuss this, and he just went down the other path of vasectomy, and, was further away from it than what I was. Eventually, that relationship came to an end as well. And when I was single, I thought, this is my time. So I started an infertility process of a donor egg, found a lovely donor egg, a lady who was young, had a couple of children of her own. And so I was going through the counseling for that and the whole process, and was very excited. I stopped briefly while I was waiting for the donor sperm to come through, and I traveled. And over the 4 months, I started to really get to know myself. I spent a bit of time really looking inwards and trying to make sense of, what have I been doing in my life? Why have I done so much study and not had a baby? And a psychiatrist said to me, you know, Linda, it's interesting, you've had 3 main relationships. And these men, none of them wanted to have children with you. Why do you think that is? And so I really started to explore that, and I realized that I may have been sabotaging my own experience of having a baby. And I thought, my mum had 3 under 3. She was left to be looked after by her nana and her aunties and uncles. So she would have been experiencing a lot of grief and loss and depression and anxiety while she was going through early parenting. So maybe that was what was impacting on me. And then I dived in deeper when I heard about transgenerational patterns. And then I realized my grandma, my mother's mum, gave away my mum to be cared for by other people. So there was something in her that instilled that belief that she wasn't able or capable to look after a baby of her own. And now I look deeper into myself and think, is this transgenerational? Do I have that gene that's in me? And I'm unconsciously self-sabotaging every time I came up to wanting to have a baby. So now I'm sitting in my early 50s and continuing to look after other people going through this experience as best I can. And I actually have some resolve in many ways of what my experience has been like and where I am now. So
Wow,
that's
that
my
was
story.
beautiful. That was so touching, really, emotionally, really touching. You are right. I actually had some clients. They said, one of my clients actually lost her mother early age. She always told me, no, I don't deserve to be a mom. And on top of that, she was struggling to be a mom. You see, this is a conflict between your like deep beliefs and what you want. So this is not exactly what you want when you deeply believe that you don't deserve to be a mom. So it takes time to realize what you really want. Maybe it's not even, you're not even ready to be a mom. Yeah, even for myself, I was thinking, what is my why? Why do I want to be a mom? Can I really protect another person? Because I was very selfish. I used to take care of myself too much. And it was really difficult for me to dedicate my time for someone else. But as soon as I got married, then I realized, wow, there is another person that I have to take care of. And it was really amazing for me that we can share a lot of things, we can love each other, and I said, oh, okay, why not? I can dedicate my time to someone else. I can have my own family. And that was amazing to understand your capability of loving someone. But that should be in you. Like if you don't believe in it, so all the struggle really doesn't make sense.
That's right.
All the struggle don't make sense. Yes.
And there's this playoff between unconscious and conscious.
Yes.
And it's not until we intertwine those and, you know, have them meet in some way that we can make a little bit more sense about what's going on in our lives and why do we do what we do? What is our why? Yeah, totally. It's great.
So tell me about other experiences you had with one of your clients. How you could help her. Did she successfully conceived or have children? Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, I've had many experiences. Thinking of one in general, I had a mum who spent many, many years of trying to fall pregnant, and she had experienced some counselling previously and some couple counselling. They had a lot of issues around her husband's drinking and his not engaging with her on the same page when it came to wanting a baby. You know, he would talk openly and outwardly and express that he was keen and interested, but deep down he really wasn't. And he had some experiences from his childhood that brought him into the present moment, feeling really uncomfortable about bringing children into the world as well. And he would move into drinking heavily whenever they had these discussions. She was quite triggered about his drinking because of her experience of having a father who was an alcoholic. So she didn't like the presentation, and it brought back a lot of childhood memories for her of the adversity that she had with her father. So you can see there's a lot of past experiences that were coming to play for both of them in the here and now when they were trying to fall pregnant. And the couple work was on the surface. It was looking at the drinking problem, but it wasn't going deep into the real issues of the ghosts in the nursery that were coming back to haunt them. Although he was reluctant to attend sessions, which is not uncommon with men, you know, they're usually quite busy, or the mum sometimes might be, you know, sort of blocking in some ways and might feel uncomfortable. This is my safe place and I don't want him here. But however, whatever was going on for them, she continued to have a good 12 months of treatment with me. And we addressed the experience of the tug of war that she had between wanting to have the baby, but not wanting to have the baby under these circumstances with her husband who was drinking. She didn't want to bring a child into the world with a father who was an alcoholic. In the end, what came about was they did all the usual things, you know, that you know, people talk about exercising, which is very important. You know, they did some regular exercise together with walking, nothing too intense, but it was just a gentle walking. She changed her diet as well, so less sugar and fat intake into her diet, and she looked at doing some more self-care. So every week she had a massage and some Reiki as well. And we also talked about her experiences with her own mother and her mother, the closeness that they had together. And it was almost like they were codependent on each other. So to me, I felt like there was this blockage of her not able to give to a baby when she was still giving to her mother, so to speak, and caring for her mother. So we looked deeper into that, and she was able to have some sort of distance in some way and see herself now as a potential mother rather than still being the daughter of her mother. So change of identity, I suppose. And they also had some time away, which we always talk about is important, just to relax, free yourself up of all the stress that she's and her husband are enduring every day at work, and also the pressure of not being able to fall pregnant. So they went through, she was just starting her third lot of treatment of IVF when we started this process. And she, within 6 months, she fell pregnant. she had twins. Unfortunately, they had died in utero very early on. And that was a big, huge grief for anyone. But for her experience, it was so challenging for her to keep coming and turning up and, you know, challenging her own, you know, sense of self as a mother, that, you know, how can I be a mum? I never understood that I could be a mum. And now here I am. I've actually lost these babies. See, this is evidence that I cannot be a mother. And so we did a lot of work on that. And she came to terms with accepting these babies. She did a lot of journaling through that time as well. I think it was very important for her to write to these children and let her know how she felt about these babies and what she missed and how angry she felt about it. So she went through all the emotions, which I think is really, really important when you're experiencing grief and loss. You need to revisit that. A lot of the time it's past grievances and it comes into the present, the here and now, but it needs to be present.
Beautiful. Love
And
it.
she went on to have another pregnancy only 2-3 months after that. So that was very exciting for her.
Yes,
Things started rolling.
This is the process. And I talk because I'm PTSD coach as well. So I know trauma, your past life before having the baby, your belief about motherhood, everything really affect your parenthood and being a mother and your fertility power, actually. And another important thing, you even referring to your story about having relationships that they really didn't want to have the baby. It's the proof that having the baby, and it's creation, energy of creation. So you need to have this for two. So it's a mutual cooperation between couples, and you should know that you want it. You will get it when both of you cooperate to have this. So it's not just one person who struggles, another one do nothing.
That's
Yes,
right.
you are right. So between your own beliefs and whatever you attract to have, because all of your relationships deep down, they didn't want to have kids. And your deep down was not really sure that you want to have a baby or not. So that these are really connected to each other. When these are connected to each other when you want to have a baby.
That's right.
So interesting.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's so powerful how you have to have that union together, the social interaction, the interdependency with your
Exactly.
couple relationship.
Yes. And another interesting point I got from your words, you said she just let it go for a while. She was relaxed and had some Reiki work on her post trauma and relationship with her mother. These are really root cause of the fertility. Some people have been diagnosed with unexplained infertility, like me. It's so easy for doctors saying that, oh, you have unexplained infertility. That's it. Why? How can you explain this to me? You know, then you see there are lots of root cause for your infertility, and 90% of them are mental. So, and there are other reasons that you cannot get pregnant, even if your fertile machine is working. You have a regular cycle, you don't have any block fallopian, or you don't have anything blocking on your fertility process, but you don't know why you don't get pregnant. So there are lots of things at the back. It's not only emotional. I know there are some root cause can be medical root cause that medical doctors don't diagnose it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like your car breaks down, you know,
Yes.
and you look under the hood and you think, oh yeah, maybe I'll put a little bit of water in the radiator, it'll be fine, but then it doesn't work. And it's
Yes.
like, okay, well, I've got to look further now. I've got to dig deeper, find out what is the root cause here. Yeah. So it could be hidden and we don't know it.
So you said there should be a positive relationship between two couples. Do you also believe that there should be a positive specialist and clinic and support uh, for
Oh,
your fertility journey?
definitely. Definitely. I mean, from a personal point of view, having the counselor as I was going through was valuable. I was gathering information on, yes, I'm going to have a baby that is biologically two other people, but will be mine. How and when do I talk to this child about the situation? Yes, we start from scratch. It's like, wow, oh, that's something I didn't even consider. Just having that support is so valuable. And I think too, when we're looking at obstetricians and infertility specialists and anyone who's involved in the health profession that's connected with you, I think it's so valuable that we are open and honest and talk about our experiences, even if we're not happy with what we hear from them, because we put on our facade and, yes, everything's fine. I'll just do what he says, but I don't really want to. But deep down, you're really angry and sad with him. It's important that we open up these discussions. The other thing is, what I've heard of a number of times from mothers is it's taken a while for them to come and see me because they've had difficulty getting over the hurdles of what's expected when they have an early miscarriage. In the past, it's only been recently, in the last few years or recent years, that it's been accepted by GPs and obstetricians, gynecologists that, yeah, early pregnancy and miscarriage, that's a loss. And yes, it causes mental health issues and problems. It's grief and loss that can turn into depression and anxiety when it's not managed, or PTSD. So it is so valuable and so important. And a lot of experiences, mums have said to me that I was just told that it's only an early pregnancy, don't worry about it. You'll have another one. You don't need to see anyone.
Yes, miscarriage is so painful. I've been there 2 times, and yeah, lot of, because you feel that you're stuck. You're getting stuck in the vicious cycle of miscarriage. You're gonna break it anyway.
Yes,
Some
yes,
people cannot break it because their mind is still there. So if your mind and body are not aligned, you cannot get out of this cycle.
that's right. It becomes
Yeah.
stuck. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the big three big success factors in having a good baby? I mean, healthy baby.
In having a pregnancy, falling
Mhm.
pregnant, yeah. Uh, well, there's probably numerous elements that go into that. I would say if you're looking at the first 1,000 days, which is something that is quite highlighted now, that from pre-pregnancy right up to 2 years of age, we want to focus on our diet, exercise, and mental health. They're the three main factors that I would say that every woman needs to be looking at from the time she's even thinking about a pregnancy. So a whole food plant-based diet, so reducing the sugar and the fat intake, because that causes inflammation in the body, and inflammation causes disease and infection and difficulty in organs functioning the way they're meant to be functioning. So it plays a big part in infertility. And exercise also. Without exercise, we have increased levels of cortisol in our body. Exercise reduces the cortisol and increases serotonin, which is your happy drug. So it gives you a bit more of a mind-body balance with the hormones. So that's a beneficial factor as well. And then we have, mental health in general. When when we're extremely anxious or we're depressed, or even if we have adversity, like say COVID, we're in situations that are outside of our control. It's really important that we teach ourselves some strategies that will help us focus on the choice in the strategies that we're going to use to help regulate ourselves, regulate our emotional state, as opposed to trying to change the situation. Because infertility, COVID, adversities with our babies or pregnancy, environmental conditions like 9/11, volcanoes, all of those situations, they're out of our control. So the importance of focusing on a choice, to choose a strategy, acknowledge that this is a difficult time, acknowledge that you are still the same person. You have the identity as the mother, as the wife, as the neighbor, as the friend. Just because you've had a pregnancy loss doesn't mean that you are no different. Your quality of sense of self hasn't changed. It's just your perception of that. And the third thing in looking at choice there is finding the strategies that are going to work for you. And mindfulness, I find, is meditation. Mindfulness meditation is one of the biggest factors that I find helps regulate people's emotions fairly quickly. Whether you use it as just a quick dose every day and just build up your sensitivity to it, and you increase your awareness of being in the moment so that you regulate your state from anxious state to a healthy sort of relaxed state, calm state in that moment, or whether you do meditation that changes the trait that might have been passed on through the generations of anxiety. We can change our mental health and our emotional background and baggage that we're bringing with us through meditation. That would be my tip.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So, Linda, do you have any program, website, anything you're going to show my audience or help them to be aware of their pregnancy and their fertility struggle?
Mm-hmm. I currently am working with clients from pregnancy, infertility, right up to 5 years of age, that are struggling with their emotions and regulating their emotions. And I use some very basic mindfulness strategies, helping them move from their head into their body and teaching them to integrate their head in their body through sitting, mindfulness, stillness practices. And I have a free recording that I can provide you to hand out to your client participants as well. The other technique that I use is a new technique, and it comes from neurolinguistic programming, and it's a fast track way of regulating your emotions. And I've used it recently with mums and dads who have had particular difficulty in listening to their babies cry because they're frozen in the moment themselves. So they've found it really challenging to attend to the infant's needs. And it's worked with one session. They've been able to refocus and be available and present and continue with what the infant's needs are, comforting them. And some parents have had challenges of past memories of traumas and experiences that are coming up from their own childhood while they're caring for their own children. And in those moments, just remembering them, thinking, I need some help with this, and it's really distressing. And I use this technique that is just a way of integrating their subconscious and their conscious together in the moment. Sometimes it's just the conscious, where I get them to help them to close their eyes and go through the experience here and now, a most recent experience, a past experience, and then the worst experience. And just helping them process the senses, what comes about when they're remembering those situations, because they're heightened by what they hear, what they feel, and what they see, and their body reacts all over again when they're remembering it with their eyes closed, as if they're experiencing it again. And so I help them regulate in that moment and acknowledge what's going on for them. And then we anchor a calm state. And with
So tell me about the anchor.
yeah, so when they've regulated the emotion and they're in a calmer state, I help anchor that state into their memory. So when we're finished, I ask them to remember the situation, and they have a clear memory of the event and the situation that was distressing, but they're not distressed by it anymore. They don't get the same physiological somatic sensations coming up in their body or the negative thoughts going on in their head. They're like, oh, I feel not distressed at all. I'm calm about that. So I'm very excited about this technique. And what I would like to do is to have a little experiment of participants who are having challenges falling pregnant or infertility problems, and seeing how this plays out for them. There's another technique that goes a little bit deeper, because as we were talking about before, part of us want to have a baby and fall pregnant, and the other part is really fearful or might be held back by past experiences that we really don't know about, we're so unaware of. So putting people into, and mothers into, a state of trance, just a mild trance, just enough that they're relaxed enough that I can tap into their subconscious, and we have the conscious on one side and the subconscious on the other side, and I have them working together, integrating the differences and the struggles so that they start to work together and they find a way of working together. Mother doesn't have to be conscious of that. It's happening all on its own as I'm programming that in by talking to them in the trance. And again, it is anchored in and changes happen. So I'm really excited to offer anyone who would like to do this work with me, so that I can just do some measures on, you know, seeing how the outcomes for them with their fertility comes about through these experiences of using this technique and strategy. So I'll offer if anyone's interested.
So, I'm so sorry this time.
No.
All right, Linda, thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy to have you in this collection.
Thank you.
And I really enjoyed what we talked, go through PTSD, miscarriages, and the one point I love, identity, because we have to know what does that mean to be a mom.
Yes.
And self-care, as you said.
Yes.
There are lots of things beside each other to make a puzzle. And you have to see which part is missing and find the part and place it again and have a fertile body.
Yes, that's exactly right. And this is, in many ways, I use this metaphor of coming to the beach and just putting your toes just at the edge of the water, and you've got, you know, the residue of the wave just sort of lapping up, the whitewash slapping up on your feet, and you step away from it because it's too uncomfortable. No, I don't want to go there. No, I'm going to stay away. And this is what we do. We avoid a lot of the time. However, if we take that step, and then we take another step, and then another step, and before we know it, yes, we've got more and more of the water pushing up against us, and that wave sort of, you know, pushing us back and knocking at us, but we're moving against it constantly. Before we know it, if we struggle, we're going to be sitting there being dumped by this wave, just, we don't pick up any strategies. We don't do anything. We just keep fighting it. We're going to get dumped. Whereas if we pick up a strategy and we get some support and we, take that on board and acknowledge that, yeah, this is difficult, but I'm human. And like everyone else, we're in this together. So find your support, find your village, and keep moving. Before you know it, your breaststroke, backstroke, your freestyle helps you move through those difficult waves, and you come out the other end to the calmer side, and you're at peace, ready for things to happen again.
Adorable. In my book, I have another book. It's a best-selling book, Rules of Change for the Better. One of the
Beautiful.
rules saying you can't struggle when you don't know how to swim. So by the time you're struggling, you can go on the surface. But as soon as you are lighter and you don't have heavy baggage with you, then you can go on the top. When you are on the surface, you are lighter, and your weight even lighter than when you are walking on the ground.
Yeah, it's like you're floating.
It's a great thing about knowing how letting go help you to have your health back, have your mental health back actually, and whatever you're gonna do in your life, no matter which transition you want to do, first you have to let it go. Thank you so much for being here.
It's been a pleasure, Pantea.
Yes,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Please subscribe to Pantea Kalhor Transition channel and order my book Naturally Conceived through Amazon. Thank you for watching.